Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are, and welcome to another episode of the Shine Out Loud Show with me, Lillian Ogbogo. Now, to all my people in the UK, yes, we are hot, hot, hot and on fire. And I thought this would be the perfect time to bring you this incredible woman to give you some knowledge while we all roast and toast and can't go anywhere. I have the fantastic Terrill Christians. Now, I met this woman who creates, her business is called Success by Design. And what she does is that she helps thought leaders, creators, coaches, SMEs, people who have all this in their brains. She helps them create courses that convert, sell, get people excited, create the change in the lives of these people. So join me and welcome my incredible, incredible guest all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. Welcome, Terrill.
Thank you, Lillian. I must say, it's freezing in Cape Town, even though it's so hot in London.
You know, you didn't have to throw that in, because now the whole of London is like, yeah, but we're on fire though.
We'd love 40 degrees right now.
I mean, if you can come and take it, you're welcome to it.
It's not a problem down here. We love it.
Come and take it. I mean, right now, 25 is looking like, heaven sent. I mean, I can laugh about it now because we are just on the other side of the 40 degrees, and it's the highest temperature in the UK. It's been a bit much because there's been fires, there's been a lot of different things.
Oh,
yes. So and this is where we talk about climate change. This is where we have those discussions, but we're going to put a pin in that because we're not going to be talking about climate change today, even though it's a topic that should be discussed. But today we're talking about Success by Designs, which is your baby. So I think before we jump into that, let's take a look at your background. You have a background in project management and business analysis. What got you into project management?
I was running a department and I hated sort of doing the same thing every day. So the one thing they said was, if you want to do different things, like work on strategic stuff or just find out stuff, you've got to move into project management and business analysis, so that you're trying to solve problems either for the better, for the business, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I got into the BA/PM space.
Okay. So after 14 years in the corporate world, you decided to do an MBA. And while in that MBA, you decided, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and say goodbye to the corporate world. What made you decide to do that? What was the deciding factor?
Well, probably because at that point, it was just I was getting it was feeling very negative in the space. It was like the type of work that we were doing. So most of my work is in software and development, and it wasn't as creative as it could be. It was actually just really such a small piece of what we did, and a lot of projects were being, so to say, like wiped off after like a year or two of work in it, and you become really negative about it. It's very hard to stay engaged when your work just gets wiped a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so that is absolutely understandable, because sometimes you're working on a project for, like you said, a year, and somebody comes around and like, okay, so we've decided to go in a different direction, and just pull the plug on that project. So it can feel very disheartening. You're like, a year of my life gone. So, and there's no explanation, there's no rhyme or reason. So I can understand this. And then you decided that you were going to go into business, and you were working on user stories, you were working on the analytics for clients. Now your business took a pivot. Like most people, different things happen, but your business took a pivot to helping experts and training providers create online programs. Why was COVID the catalyst for this?
So this actually started a while ago with me. So prior to me being a project manager many years ago, I actually started out in the world wanting to become a teacher.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. And then funnily enough, I always had to work and study. And I was studying, and then I just sort of put the studies aside because the work was going so great. And my first role, like into management or just out of the norm, was actually in training.
Okay.
So training people in the corporate environment to do their jobs, do different courses, soft skills, and so forth. So that sort of was me living my teacher dream out in the working world. And then I think I've always been about like trying to learn things and share knowledge. And it always felt pure, like a good thing, like out of all the things you could be doing with your time, helping really large financial companies make even more gazillions than they already have. What you could actually help someone do is earn a living. And that I could say I was doing through sharing knowledge. So in the time of COVID, I actually started my business soon before COVID, and it was doing really well when we went into COVID, but I suddenly felt like I had like 6 bosses. And I just realized, and then as it took it down, I realized I needed to do something that I initially felt like a little bit of a step back for me, which was to offer a software service, and to offer something that I would think, don't you know how to do this? Like people pay me for skills, other types of skills to this. And I was like, no, this market is actually calling for this. I could see the gap. I could see that people couldn't do this. And they were struggling with understanding not just the technical system part, but they were struggling to understand, how do I go from training and teaching something in person to actually translating that into the online environment. And most importantly, making sure that you have the skills that transfer, and that the people are seeing the results that they need to see. So that, and I just thought, this is a great space to be in. This is something that just spoke to my heart, spoke to what I ultimately was about: software, helping people, education. I just feel like I'm sort of part of a bigger wheel of just sharing knowledge. So that's,
I love that. I do love that, especially the fact that I didn't know that you were really supposed to be a teacher. And you're right, there is something so pure about it when you're like helping people get from point A to point B. You're like, and that moment you see the light bulb go on in your head, you're like, yeah, that's it. That's the feeling. And so I absolutely get it. And so, we know that we can take a digital stone and throw into the digital space, and you will hit one course or another online. And so with the proliferation of these online courses, with so many online courses that most people don't finish, what are creators missing in making their courses? What are they missing that makes their course stick so that their clients finish and get the results?
There's a few components to actually making sure that you're transferring a skill, or you're transferring the actual knowledge that gets the customer, that gets the client to the result. That's the most important thing. Whether it is that you want to learn something that's practical, that you're physically doing, or something that's mental, taking up a certain amount of knowledge, it's the transfer actually of that knowledge and that skill. So to transfer knowledge, there's a few points that you have to hit. And this sort of comes from sort of how your brain is mentally set up and how we learn. Things like, you share knowledge. You've got to make sure that somebody actually ascertain the correct concepts in that knowledge, that they've done that correctly. right? Then, so that means you've got to test that knowledge that you've shared and the understanding of it.
Right.
Then you've got to have them apply it in a practical sense. And how you would do that sort of online versus how you do that in person differs slightly, because maybe you do it through a demonstration that was in person, and now that demonstration has to be online or some other version of it.
Right.
And there's also other triggers that happens between the brain. So, you learn through your different senses.
Yes.
So it's a combination of combining things from an auditory sense, maybe tactician type sense. So there's a few different things that you need to do to make sure that you're transferring the skill correctly and that it's sticking. Okay. Engagement is also very important, especially for you to reach completion rates. So you touched on a very important point in the learning space. People take courses that they never finish, myself included. And as one of them,
I'm going to hold my hand up as well.
Yeah, no, totally. As all of the courses that we sign up for, but the courses that you actually want to complete, you have to feel invested in. You have to feel you're part of a community, right? You have to feel that I want to see what's next on offer. You've almost got to surprise them.
Right.
So I feel like every single course that is created, it needs to think, what are you bringing that's special and different from the next course? Right. So when I work with each course creator, how we create that course differs very much from how a different type of course would look like with a different creator. So there's no one set winning formula, if I could say. There are a few formulas and there's a few things that we use, but how we apply it and how it actually looks in every course differs according to the subject, the style of the person that's actually providing that training, that expert, what suits them, what suits their realm, how they bring it across. And also what is the audience that we're speaking to. So one of the important things that you have to do in the online space is you have to be clear about who your actual client is and what the expectations is. More than ever, niching is a very good idea in course creation, because you're taking someone on a specific journey, meaning they've got these issues, and by going and speaking to that specific person, and those issues, you actually achieve a higher result than what you would just sending somebody on a general course, so to say.
Okay.
So there's a few things that make that formula.
I like the idea that the formula is not one size fits all, because there is a danger of that. And you mentioned something about making the style fit the creator. Now, there's a lot of misconception, because sometimes you see these people like, oh, if you do my course, to do your course so that you can do it like me. And there's a misconception that for you to be a course creator, you have to be an extrovert and be out there and be loud and hands and jazzy hands. Is that true?
No. Not in the least. Most of my course creators, if I look at them, I think they're actually quite introverted, even though some of them have spoken in front of thousands of people and, they're on YouTube all the time or something. But just the way they are as people, I would never, they're capable of some very deep thinking. And I don't see any of them as actual extroverts. I think that they are highly skilled, highly skilled, like social skills. They have good social skills, but no, I don't think so. I don't think that you have to be extroverted at all.
Okay. I like that. Thank you. So for those who are introverts, introverts, you don't have to do it like the extroverts. You can create your courses in your style, in your honest voice, for the person that you need to create it for. And as we'll say, there's a pot and lid for everybody. So your course will have its audience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I was reading your recent blog where you were talking about entrepreneurship, and that one of the things that new entrepreneurs don't do is start to ask themselves some questions before they jump into that sea of entrepreneurship. So what questions are new entrepreneurs failing to stop to answer before they jump in?
Who is my customer? And do they actually want my product, or do I just think it's a good idea that this customer has my product? I think that a lot of people skip on the research and skip on being objective in the research. It's something that people just sort of tend to think, oh, but people will want to buy this, and they want to buy from me the way I'm packaging it, the way I'm dressing it up, the way I'm talking about it. And then suddenly crickets, nothing, you know? And that is simply because you haven't aligned yourself yet with your actual customer. And it's not packaged possibly sometimes in the right way. So at this very starting point, I think that entrepreneurs just starting out, they don't think about actually how important doing market research is, the fact that it's a good idea to get somebody else also involved simply because you're biased, right? Customers are fickle, eh? The quickest thing they'll do is just not buy. Everyone will tell you, oh, that's a good idea, that's great. Oh, okay, thanks, bye. Doesn't mean they buy. You know, your sales will tell you that straight, who's buying, who's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's something just as simple in terms of the words that you're using, you know, the sentence, as some marketing stuff not resonating with people, the way you're positioning yourself, those types of things as a starting point. Okay. Then I think they also underestimate the hustle it takes to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, like I worked in corporate, as you know, for many years, and I thought I knew. I mean, with an MBA and everything, I knew what it takes to start a business. Let me tell you something. You learn. Now I can tell you, yes, now I know what it takes to start a business. Totally. But yeah, you learn.
You know, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a whole series of what they didn't teach you in Harvard about being in business. There's all of that. And so I think really taking that time to do that market research is absolutely crucial, like you said. So you helped so many people create courses. Let me ask you this. What makes a great course for you?
What makes a great course for me? A fun one.
Okay. Let me take notes on that.
A great course for me is actually one where you don't have a extroverted course creator. This expert is actually just sharing themselves. I mean, I'm a big believer in authenticity. And I know that if you're authentic, you're gonna land well with your target customer, because usually they emulate who you are. You know, and they're just simply a few steps behind, and they haven't yet understood that bit of knowledge or skill that you're trying to share with them. And just simply by being that person, authentic, and sharing that knowledge with them. And sometimes, you know, some people really actually have a gift for being able to put complex concepts into very simple terms, and then it resonates. And like when you get to do fun things in courses, it can be quite simple, because like I said, every course is different. So it's like you've got to find the flow and the style with that expert in terms of how we're going to bring it across. But yeah, if people can say, well, I really had fun, you know, like it was a good course, and I'm like, okay, we did our bit.
All right. So fun is the key thing, and then the authenticity, and then making sure that it lands with your audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I like. So, you know, this whole thing, let's kind of go back to this whole thing about being an entrepreneur and starting in business. And I think people have been sold a lot of different stories. And one of the things that we've been sold, that when we're starting out in business, that we have to be everything in our business. Do you agree with this?
Yes and no. Maybe at first, you're kind of needing to understand everything and do a bit of everything. Like I'll tell you right now, I'm the tea lady. I'm I'm the developer sometimes, but sometimes I'm not good enough and I need to bring in a developer. Marketing, same thing. But sometimes you do get your feet wet in just about almost every single area of the business, but you're definitely not the answer to everything, not at all. But if you are the entrepreneur, the owner, then you need to have an understanding at least of what's going on and realizing this is my level of expertise, but I actually need someone to fill that gap. Say.
And this is big, because half the time, like I said, we've been sold that we have to be everything. And then most times people are trying to be in the business, do the business, and then be the expert in every area. And then they fail because they're not actually doing what it is that is their business. They're doing everything else. And so I think I like the yes and no answer. And I think we need more people actually having that conversation about where do you stop and where do you bring in support?
Definitely.
Okay. Now, we know you're in Cape Town in South Africa, and as a woman of color building a business in South Africa, what have been some of the lessons and challenges that you've had to navigate?
Oh, lots. People, businesses, being a woman, gosh, having a business, just somehow people not expecting that it would be, because it's unusual that I would have a business of my own.
Okay.
And especially it's being in software services.
Okay.
So yeah, but I've always leaned towards the unusual, so.
All right. So yeah, sometimes I think less said is more, I think.
Yeah. The normal.
Yeah. So, we know that you are driven to help entrepreneurs create, but what drives your creativity?
What drives my creativity? And some me time, definitely.
Okay.
Whether it is having wine with a friend or coffee with a friend, taking a bath, relaxing, getting out, getting social. Yeah, to actually just meeting someone or coming across a piece of work and it's like, wow, this is so different. I mean, I've learned so much from all the industries and all the people that I've worked with. It is amazing out there, and that's a lot of the times it's a challenge also, because I'm like, wow, you're like, how much money doing this? Wow, okay, I know that there's a course in here, definitely, because I only work with experts, so it's like you've got to have this proven formula, so you know what to do. So we just need to sort of courseify it, and I'm like, whoa, you make money doing that? It's amazing.
Right now, I remember a friend showed me an Instagram post recently, and this lady and her team are making money, and they have a very interesting class, and they're touring the States right now. And it's like, okay. Yeah. You're like, okay, someone will pay for that.
Someone will pay for that. That's for sure. That is for sure. You will find your tribe.
That is the truth. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. One of the things that we find is that a lot of women, especially, have experienced imposter syndrome and the inner critic. So have you ever felt that grip of the imposter syndrome and the inner critic? And if you have, how have you navigated them when they showed up?
I think the best example I have of that is I went and I got myself an MBA.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah. You know something, in terms of starting a business and a lot of the business stuff that I apply now, funnily enough, a lot of what I've learned doing doesn't come from my MBA initially. So I feel like that's how I felt like a lot of my business ideas and stuff that I needed to say, well, my confidence was just increased the second that I actually landed that.
Right.
So I think that is the biggest example for me in terms of how I dealt with imposter syndrome.
So you dealt with your imposter syndrome by getting an MBA.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to walk me through this one, because I've heard of different ways of managing that imposter syndrome, but going to get an MBA. What was it about the MBA that helped you put that imposter syndrome in its place?
Yeah, I felt that it solidified my knowledge. I'd always wondered, do I know enough? Business is such a wide subject, right? There's different industries, there's different sectors, different regions, constantly different things coming up, environmental, social policies play into place. And I was like, how can I get a grasp on all of this? And it didn't give me a grasp, it gave me a grasp on a huge amount of it.
Right.
But I actually realized going through the process how much I know, and especially on the journey of being an entrepreneur, which for me has been more so a path of self-discovery than anything else, and definitely helps sort of with your confidence. Because you have to be yourself, you have to be out there selling yourself all the time, selling your business, so for me, just sort of getting an MBA was like just this cherry on the cake. I don't know when in my head, actually, I know the exact moment when I sat in class and I decided I need an MBA. That moment was when one of the directors of the university came into our class, and he said, I'm speaking to all the women in the room. Less than 4% of MBA holders in South Africa are women. And that was just enough of a challenge to make me think, well, now I'm going to be one of that 4%.
Okay.
Because this is not on. Yeah. So entrepreneurship, I think definitely after the MBA has helped so much with imposter syndrome, because definitely you do struggle with it. You wonder if you're good enough. Can you do this? And on the one hand, I can do this. I've got this. I've got this idea. I've got this experience. It works out, but the doing of it is what helps you do it. And then just having great friends and family around, and making time to say to yourself, damn, I did this and that today, and I rock.
Yes, I like that part. The support system and being able to go, I did this and I rock, is actually quite cool, because sometimes we can actually, as women, line up all our failures and go, oh my God, I did this wrong, did this wrong, did this wrong. But we sometimes fail to go, I created that. Oh, by the way, I did that. We don't do that enough for ourselves.
Yeah, you've actually just reminded me of something. Lillian, very much in the beginning, I used to go back on a week, maybe it was the project manager in me, and I used to count, how many of this did I do? How many of that did I do? And I was like, yes, I did stuff this week. Because in the beginning, you have this like build out dev stage where you're trying to like build out your product and your services, and you're like, end of the week, should I say that this was a good week or not? And then I had to go back and look. Now my measurement is different. Now my measurement is how many people call me without me even initiating it. But before it was like, am I making sure those mails are going out? Am I making sure that this is happening? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? So yeah, that in the beginning, that was a way of me sort of just reflecting on the week and saying, I did this, and that. Okay, yes, I'm doing the actions. It will come.
Good. I like this. All right. So we know that, business, it's a journey, and we spend so much time in that journey trying to figure out who we are, what we are, and everything. So let me ask you, what would you create if you woke up tomorrow morning with everything gone right now? What would you create next?
I actually want to create, so my learning management system that I use, I'm not the creator of. Right. I'm an agency licensed to use it. My program, of course, in terms of e-course design is mine, but I have an idea for a learning assistance app that I would like to create. So some people struggle on long-term courses to absorb a certain amount of facts on a course, like for example, a school or in university. There's like science, maths, there are some complex concepts that you need to absorb and need to do. So in learning, repetition is quite important.
Yes.
Right? So being able to create an app where, and I know very much how I would do it, where we actually auto trigger that certain concepts pop and pop again and sort of get quizzed with you throughout your journey, helps you actually retain more information, right? It's repetition. It's one of the bases of actually increasing learning, repetition. Yeah. So that would probably be the next thing that I do. For me, that's the next phase in my company. Okay. So I'd want to create an app that actually assists learners in terms of absorbing information.
I like this. The fact that you're already planning it. 2, you're like, yeah, if I woke up tomorrow morning and everything was gone, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, that would be my next step. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Terrill, tell me, who inspires you?
There's such a wide variety of people that I get inspired by, specifically other entrepreneurs who I come across. Sometimes, I mean, I'm in a business network, so I constantly am talking to entrepreneurs. It's just the world I live in. Mm-hmm. Now we met through networking, yes. And I mean, you're with other entrepreneurs. You're just psyched, because you're like, what is your business? What do you do? How do you do? That's amazing. You hear some amazing things, and these people really inspire you when you look at everything that we do. But I mean, I've got to say, it's a variety of people when I think about it in terms of what they do. You want a name, don't you? A name or two? Is that what you're going with here?
Throw a name. Give us names.
Okay, give you a name. Oh my gosh. I am gonna, Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yes.
Gary. I love the fact that he swears constantly. He inspires me because, number one, he's like not of the generation, but he so relates to like being a millennial, being a Gen Z, being authentic, and just getting out there and do it. And looking at his career is inspiring in terms of how he grew his parents' business, how he's growing his own business.
Yes.
Very interesting, very American. That's also the other thing that I find so interesting. In the South African market, also, I've got 1 or 2 clients who I think are awesome. And it's simply because of the work that they do. It's so, sometimes it's unique, but both have very unique clienteles, very niche clienteles. And the fact that they're making major dents in it, just not just in South Africa, but worldwide, is amazing.
Okay.
Who else? I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank.
That's fine. You've given us Gary Vee, your South African clients. And, I think because you mentioned that you network, I'm sure that you've come across some really, really amazing people. And let's talk about that networking piece, because I want to know, how has networking impacted your business?
Oh, wow. Well, firstly, I met you, and I'm now on your podcast, so that's like
see.
I have worked with people all around the world. I mean, and it has been amazing, from India to UK to America. I'm trying to think any remote place. I mean, I've worked with just about everybody. I am humbled by how amazing people are. The impression that we have of sort of different people in different countries or what we think that we're going to be like. And when you actually meet people from small towns in America or people in India, I know this amazing transformation coach in India. She's completely amazing. I mean, she works a lot on the US market and the Indian market because she also travels between the US and India. And it's like, wow, the type of work she does. Gosh, she helped me at some point with my stress levels. I mean, her meditation is amazing. Yeah, her meditation series are amazing. Yeah, it's just opened up the world to me. Like I said, prior to this, pivoting my business, I was really doing a lot of what I did in corporate. I was doing a lot of consulting work around digital journeys, marketplaces, that kind of thing. I hadn't really gotten into the SME space as much as I was working with the highly liquid side of the people in the SME space who were still playing quite really like tons of money afloat, but I wasn't really making the impact I really wanted to.
Right.
And it really just, COVID made me pivot in that way to really connect with the SME market and help the people I really wanted to help and work with through helping them adapt to technology. Yeah.
Awesome. So, there's a whole thing about networking that there's a whole preconception and notion and idea about what networking is, what it should be, and how we should network. There's always somebody telling you network this way or do it this way or do it that way. In your view, because you're part of this very, very large networking group, do women have to network differently to be successful?
I don't think so. One thing I will say is that being online, has very much evened the playing ground for who we network with and how we network. But as somebody who networks with a lot of different people, it's still about building those relationships. You've still got to show up in your best mode. You've got to actually put aside what you think you want out of the relationship in the short term and realizing that network is a long-term strategy. Getting to know people, whether or not you think they would bring you business directly or indirectly, you've got to put that aside and you've just sort of got to walk in faith and go, I am here to network. Yes, there's a particular type of person I want to network with, but sometimes people who you resonate with mentally are not exactly within your exact sphere of who you would normally network with or so forth. And you will believe me, but you'll be surprised how business can come out of that just indirectly or in a different way. I mean, many times I've been mowed over and I'll be like, you referred to me by who? Oh my gosh, but I mean, I would just say when it comes to networking as a woman, be professional, take an interest in what that person's business is about, how you can get them business, help them get business, and it will come back to you. I mean, givers gain. I completely believe that.
Okay. All right. And networking is something that we need to start for those of us who are not doing it, for those of us who are still on the fence. Network. That is basically the key. Now, you mentioned in your bio that you're a traveler. Where in the world has been your most inspired trip?
My most inspired trip. Probably, so I've been I lived in Germany, I've been to the UK, I've been to a lot of places in Europe, Asia, Australia. I've never been to the US though.
Okay.
And a few places in Africa. The best trip I've probably taken was the trip I took during my MBA. I went to ESADA in Barcelona, which is one of the top 10 business schools in the world. And I chose to focus on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And we were doing entrepreneurship with them, and I got a chance also to do another design thinking course, which was important to me because design thinking is a sort of a problem-solving way of thinking that we used in IT, and I got a bit more into that there. And one of the most important things that I learned there, so Barcelona has a very happening in entrepreneurship space, especially tech entrepreneurship space. I got to meet CEOs of like a tech fin company, a florist, he an e-commerce florist site. They were massive though, and there was a third one I can't remember right now. And the one thing I learned from all of them is that any online business is firstly built offline. You know, how they actually made those points. And I thought it was amazing. It was very dynamic. I mean, Barcelona is not just beautiful and relaxed. Firstly, people accuse Cape Town of being relaxed, as when we're late for everything, you know, things go according to the weather and the waves. And that's true. We're chilled, right? Barcelona is way more chilled. You know, I felt like such a professional there, but like, you know, siesta, we must close now. You know, it's Catalonia. We know it's 12, it's 3. We, you know, have cafe, go for a run, you know, siesta time. These people never work, but it's so cool. But yet they're so full of life. You know, if you look at the art scene there and just also the socializing, the way they live, it's amazing. So it had so many different aspects. Oh, and the shopping was great, that I just totally enjoyed. But I mean, I think that probably made the biggest impact on me was getting to meet these entrepreneurs and actually sitting down and talking about how they started up. Because there's plenty of pivotal moments when you start your business and you're like, how do you make the leap from here to there? And you've got to meet a few people and get a few of their insights on those things before you can decide, okay, so this is how I can make the leap, kind of thing. So yeah, that was one of the most impactful journeys.
I like it. And you know what? I'm not mad at the siesta time. Siesta time sounds like it's a necessary thing. This life of you must be 24/7 and work from 9 to 5. I'm thinking siesta is the way forward.
I agree. And I mean, it's part of the reasons why I decided to actually go and focus on helping course providers, because I just wanted more me time and I wanted more creativity time. And it totally gives you that instead of just working 24/7.
Exactly. And I don't think you can, yeah. I definitely agree. So let's look at everything that you've done, all your journey. You know, you've come from the corporate world, you've done the MBA, you're working with creatives and, you know, subject matter experts. Looking at your journey so far, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Oh my gosh. My 18-year-old self. What would don't drink and drive? I would say just be you more. I mean, you know, when you're 18, you're more worried about everyone else, everything else. I would say have a lot more faith in your own skills sooner than what you think. Awkward 18-year-old, but yeah, travel more, get out more. Actually, I partied a lot, so I can't say that I did travel a lot. 18-year-old me, go for it, girl. Go all the way. Dream big. Dream big. I mean, I truly believe if you are not scared of your dreams, then you haven't dreamt big enough.
Those are good advice. So tell me, what are you currently reading, or what was the last book that you read?
Well, some skanky book was the last book I read. So ever since my MBA, I have pledged that I will not read any sensible books for that I can learn anything that is not skanky. So I read the likes of like skanky young girl novels, you know, women, Mills and Boons, Harold Robinson, family drama.
Oh, wow. I haven't done Mills and Boons since high school.
Yeah, like that kind of books, something that I can just go into and I can say, what? And then I read the next one. I have very particular needs when I read these books. I need to write their names, no virgins, you know, that kind of thing. You're getting more than you bargained for in the show.
Did you just say that you no virgins?
Yeah, I know it's tough scene, but yeah.
But Mills and Boons were pretty much all of them were virgins. Even at 50,
yeah,
were
you have
mostly
to like
virgins.
scratch through the books kind of thing, but it also depends. But it's not all Mills and Boons. I mean, these like modern day romance kind of books. Girl meets guy, if the banter's good, that kind of thing. I just finished watching a whole bunch of Jane Austen movies.
Have you read Zane's work? Because her books are really incredible. And can I also ask if you've read anything by is it Anne Rice? No, not Anne Rice. Her name escapes me. I will remember and I'll send you a list.
Please do. I've been trying to get through. I love, who Brené Brown is?
Love Brené Brown.
Yeah, she talks about vulnerability and shame. And I have been reading her one book for the past 2 years. That is the most serious book I have read. And every time I get halfway and then I start again. And I'm like, you know what? I sit here and I've got a bookshelf filled with books that literally have been thrown in my head. And I'm like, I'm not reading anything that would give me anything but a moment's sizzle kind of thing.
Okay. All right. So I know what to get for you as a gift, all the scissor books. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome. All right. So you know what, Terrill, I have to say thank you so much for being on the show. I have one last question for you. What's next for you? How can people connect with you? And what are your next offerings for your clients?
Well, what's next for me is to meet some more amazing experts who are wanting to sort of get into course creation and see if the work that they're doing could actually translate well into an online course. People can reach me at terrill@successbydesign.co.za. You can find me on social media, Success by Design as well. Please reach out. I'm always down for a conversation about what you do and how and if there's a course going and sort of helping you feel that way around it. It's definitely a journey more than just an instant sort of decision you make. But I'm always down to start a conversation with anybody who's looking at actually putting together an online course. They think they've got something there. Yeah, so that's how they can reach me. Yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Okay, thank you so much. Guys, I will put all her socials and her links in there so that you're able to follow and reach out and connect, because I know some of you have courses and the world needs those courses. So let her work with you to bring those things to life, that you create not another shelf help course, that you create a course that sticks, that helps to bring the transformation that your audience needs. So with that, I'm going to say, Terrill, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Lillian. I really enjoyed it.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. I can't believe I was on this.
You are so welcome. So just to wrap up, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the buttons, tell us how the show went, share it with your people, share it with your friend that you know who has that business that wants to create a course. Share. You're doing them a favor. But most importantly, reach out and let us know what you want to hear next. Now, in all intents and purposes, it's a wrap. Go enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will be together again soon. All right.